Welcome to the Dynasty Happy Hour podcast. Pull up a chair and kick up your feet as you get ready to enjoy some of the industry's most entertaining and actionable Dynasty content on the planet. We're talking veterans, rookies, sleepers, and oh yeah, you know the crew has those dad jokes ready for you. So let's not wait any longer and bring on the host or some combination of Doug, James, and Tyler.
Welcome back to the Dynasty Happy Hour. Free agency is upon us. We're going to talk about it all today, position by position. We're going to give you every landing spot in our analysis on all these free agents. But before we do that, we have an exclusive, a very rare opportunity for one of our listeners to jump into our listener league. It's 14 teams, Superflex, and tight end premium. We're looking for one person. If you want to be in, submit an entry and leave an iTunes rating and review and put down your Twitter name in the review so we can get a hold of the winner. The more people, the merrier. If you don't want to share the news, maybe you'll just be in. It's a really fun league, super competitive. We're all in it together, as well as a bunch of other listeners. So make sure you check that out. DHH Listener League spot open. Go on iTunes, rating and review. Thank you very much. We're not going to take too long. We're not going to give you the how we been doing. We're going to give you a sponsor, and then we're just going to roll into the news because there is a lot to unpack this week between trades and free agency. And you know what? One of the coolest things that I've seen is Underdog Fantasy, NCAA, NBA, golf, hockey, NFL. There's early best ball leagues popping off in there. It's an absolute, the funnest way to play daily fantasy right now is on underdog.com. And if you go on underdog.com, put up to $100 in, they're going to match up to $100. It's free money for something that you're probably going to play anyways, and you might as well have some fun with it. So make sure you go on there. No matter what sport you're into it, they've got it. So check it out. It's code DHH for your deposit up to $100 matched on underdog.com. Guys, I am ready to jump in here. Let's start with the main position on the football field.
Center.
Defensive end. Let's start
Linebacker?
with
Middle?
the quarterback position. And we're going to start off with a big name who hasn't gone anywhere yet. He was on Pat McAfee. He was talking about his days in the darkness and how he came out 90% retired and 10% wanted to play. And then he thought about it really hard. And on the last day, they slid his meal underneath his thing. And he's like, Meatloaf, I'm going to play again next year.
You saw the light.
Reminds me of New York.
Yes.
Meatloaf
Well known
reminds
for their
me of New
meatloaf,
York.
apparently.
Yes.
So Aaron Rodgers, he has not been traded to the New York Jets, but did say that he wanted to play for them. It was on Green Bay to hash that out with the trade demand. Supposedly Green Bay wants a couple of firsts. Good luck with that salary. It ain't happening. I assume this deal will eventually get done. Really, all the other chips have fallen into place. So if the Jets don't get this done, they're going to have to go and try and get Lamar.
Yeah. That's like the only other option out there right now.
Zach Wilson. Hey, let's not forget about him, right?
You're running back with Zach.
We'll talk about Mike White. He's gone. Joe Flacco's still there. Cool.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. Like, I don't think anybody's thinking that they're going to have to go with somebody else because it's going to happen. Yeah. It's
just a matter of when.
It's Green Bay being Green Bay. Like, honestly, I believe what Rodgers was saying on that interview because he just didn't care anymore. He was laying it on the line. He's like, hey, Green Bay, they've known to do this. They did it with Favre, and they're doing it with him. Like, that's what they do. They're known for it.
It just comes down to a matter of particulars at this point: draft picks, compensation,
Elijah Moore.
and you know the fact that a lot of the other quarterbacks have signed now, it just raises the value for the Packers to say, hey, listen, you better give us what we want, otherwise you're going to be stuck without a starting quarterback. And they went out and recruited a couple of other players, which we'll get into in a little bit. But like that, they're really putting pressure on the Jets right now.
The biggest thing that I got out of that interview with Aaron Rodgers, who, if you're a listener to the show, I do not like Aaron Rodgers as a human being. But I will give him credit for really pumping up Jordan Love and saying that, like, he's a great kid. He had a great camp. He's ready. So to me, that was the biggest nugget of actual news, is that Aaron Rodgers was an advocate for Jordan Love. And that made me feel good about the couple of Superflex teams that I have Jordan Love in. And if you went and traded for him in this offseason, I think you're definitely going to gain value on that one. So let's move it on to the next biggest quarterback domino to fall. And this was before free agency even started because Derek Carr was cut from the Las Vegas Raiders, and he signed with the New Orleans Saints 4 years, $150 million, $100 million guaranteed. And then the Saints were like, we got Derek Carr, and then they brought back Jameis Winston, which, man, I just wish Jameis was able to get a starting crack somewhere.
His choice.
I know, but it was his choice to come back to a team that he's been on for a couple of years, so he's going to continue to be a high-end backup. But Derek Carr doesn't really get injured. So for me, if you had Jameis Winston in your Superflex leagues, you had to kind of pour one out on this one because I was disappointed. I think Jameis still has the chutzpah to be a starter. But, James, what do we think about Derek Carr here to the Saints?
It's almost a younger lateral move from Andy Dalton to Derek Carr, in my opinion, except for the fact that Derek Carr doesn't play anything like Andy Dalton. He does not take the long shots. It's going to help the receivers out, I think. He's going to take more risks. He's going to move the ball down the field. I don't dislike the move for Derek Carr.
Yeah, we kind of hit on it last week, so I won't dig too deep into it. But yeah, like I said, he's Andy Dalton with eyeliner.
That is 100% true. Shout out to Nestor Carbonell, the actor that also has permanent eyeliner. You've seen him in Batman.
Shout out to Toronto Dave in the chat. What's up, Toronto Dave?
So the the Las Vegas Raiders
wow.
cut Derek Carr.
Dayton Doug back. Here we go.
Los Angeles Raiders, Bo Jackson days.
How old is Doug?
Too old. They cut Derek Carr and they found their replacement, Jimmy Garoppolo, or Garoppolo, if you're nasty.
Garoppolo
is now reunited with Josh McDaniels in Las Vegas. Good-looking guy in Las Vegas. We'll see what happens there. But he signed a 3-year, $72 million deal, $24.5 million guaranteed. So not a ton guaranteed. This is more of a 1-year deal they can probably get out of in year 2 if they draft a quarterback in this year's draft. They're currently slotted for number 7 and had discussions with the Bears to get up to number 1, but the cost was a lot because there was no DJ Moore involved. So there was multiple firsts and seconds, and the Raiders passed on that. But I like this move for the Raiders. I think Garoppolo can still be a solid starter, but we all know the biggest thing with Jimmy G, it's the injury history.
Yep.
He can be made of glass. It's not like they have a great offensive line.
Nope.
So that would be my only warning with their guy that took over at the end of the year, who we don't have listed here, Jarrett Stidham, went to Denver to back up Russell Wilson. So they don't have Stidham there anymore. They literally have Garoppolo and nothing. So to me, they're going to draft a quarterback if one gets to them at number 7. They have to. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
100%.
Or they take like a Hendon Hooker in the second round if he
a lot of hype on Hendon.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if he's a late first rounder.
And Hooker in Vegas. Let's go.
He wouldn't be the first one or the last.
It's not legal in Las Vegas, however, so he'd
that's
still
a shame.
be
Oldest profession. Like, come on, let's give people
only
a break.
certain parts of Nevada. I did my research for no apparent reason.
No, clear that history.
No apparent reason.
That's on an old laptop many moons ago, like a week ago. Anyway, so
yeah, Jimmy Garoppolo. I like this move for Jimmy G. To be honest, I saw a Twitter post with him looking like Lucifer in the black suit, all decked out. I think it works well with Vegas. And yes, you're right. They are going to go after another quarterback this year.
Have to.
Yeah, 100%.
First thought, Hunter Renfrow to the moon.
I mean, they'll probably mess it up and like take Will Levis.
He didn't get dealt by Friday, so he's there. Like
Hunter
that guarantee kicked in.
He's
not going anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, and they went out and they acquired another wide receiver that we'll get into in a little bit. They just lost a big tight end that we'll talk about, that we have talked about before. It's going to be shaky for Jimmy G. I don't think this team is ready to go to any kind of playoff situation, and he could be
Still
out
lots of needs.
depending on the draft capital this rookie edition will get.
Yep. So we'll see what happens with Jimmy G. And another quarterback that's been on multiple teams and multiple teams in the last year or so, Baker Mayfield signs with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a 1-year deal, just $4 million guaranteed, really a prove-it deal. He's going to have to come in and compete with Kyle Trask. If we get anything that looked like the Baker at the end of the year with the Rams, I'll take it. I think this move really gave Baker some value in Superflex leagues, because before you're like, where is he going to go? And he went to Tampa. We still don't know if they're going to move some pieces with Godwin or Evans, but they've been re-signing some guys, Levante David and guys like that. So I don't think they're going to blow up the team. Like, why would you bring back Levante David at 33 years old for a decent amount of money if you were going to blow it up? So I think they're going to try and maybe compete a little with Baker Mayfield. The NFC South, as we know, not great, Bob. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Tyler, what was your first take when you saw Baker going to Tampa?
I liked it. I like it for the weapons. I think it helps Godwin. And you know what? Baker, he loves to just YOLO it sometimes. And what better than a guy that's 6'5" and can go up and get the ball? Perfect receiver for him.
Yep.
I honestly don't think the Rams really had that type of player. Cooper Kupp kind of fits the Godwin role, but he didn't really have Kupp when Baker played. So for me, I like it for all parties. And, Kate Otten, it's a huge boost for it because, Cameron Brate got cut. So Kate Otten steps in. Baker loves to throw it to the middle of the field. But like I said, Chris Godwin and Otten should be there. And, they added some other pieces, but it all depends on the offensive line that they hold up. But, hey, you know what? Don't worry. The only defense that's worth a damn is the Panthers. So
that is very, very true. And speaking of the Panthers, they've got a temporary quarterback, at least a veteran in their quarterback room until they take one first overall after they trade it up. And that's Andy Dalton. The Red Rifle is in Carolina. They've been making some moves here in free agency. We'll get to them. They got a new running back. They've got a new receiver. They've got a new tight end. So they're trying to rebuild their offense a little bit. Dalton, to me, maybe he's a guy that starts at the beginning of the season. We see it all the time. The veteran, they sign him on a relatively inexpensive deal. He starts, and then the rookie takes over by week 6 or 7. James, this is what's going to happen, right?
For sure. Dalton's been a bridge quarterback since he's left Cincinnati.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yep.
We saw it. He was in Dallas. He was with the Bears. He was with now the Panthers.
New
Who
Orleans.
else was he with? New Orleans. Oh, yeah, that's right. New Orleans. And
he
they
was
don't
so
really
good with New Orleans that Jameis couldn't get his job back. Remember?
Yeah. Right.
So
maybe they just didn't want to hurt Jameis.
Bad
Maybe
coaches.
Jameis was really hurt. We don't really
No.
know the full extent of that injury. I think it was like an MCL or ACL, something like that.
I don't remember.
Anyway, I mean, it's the Panthers, man. Like right now, I am not worried about Andy Dalton. If I have that top pick, like if I'm going to go after one of those rookies, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, whoever's going to land on the Panthers, that's when I'm gonna look at Dalton just to pad a roster spot until that rookie is ready, if need be. Otherwise, I am disregarding this and the other weapons around Dalton at this point.
Yeah, and in your super flex leagues, if you own Andy Dalton and then they
Try
draft
to get rid
Bryce
of him.
Young, get rid of him for like a late third,
The
fourth
guy
round
who
pick.
has the 102.
That has that, yeah, exactly. Just try to figure all that out. A couple other notable quarterbacks that have moved, and we'll go over these in a second. Gardner Minshew, 1-year deal for $3.5 million with the Indianapolis Colts. Taylor Heineke to Tyler's Atlanta Falcons. 2 years, $7 million, 6.3 guaranteed. And then Sam Darnold to the San Francisco 49ers, 1 year, $4.5 million. Jacoby Brissett to Washington, 1 year, $8 million.
This one hurt me a little bit because this kind of tells me that the rookie Sam Howell may not be ready yet.
Oh, I think it's his to lose. They're
Give
just
the keys to Sam Howell.
They're getting the insurance. That's
You think they brought in Jacoby to push him a little bit more, be that veteran
think
in the locker
Commanders
room?
don't care about winning, and they're going to be one of the teams that passively tanks.
I
potentially.
actually think Howell's going to start the whole season, but what better
I'd love
to
that.
have a quarterback like Brissett that has been around the league that has helped out.
Super
Actually,
smart.
Yeah, super intelligent. He's been around the league. From everything you hear, he's a great teammate. I mean, in Miami and all that.
He worked out great in Cleveland. Like,
Yeah.
I wish he stayed in Cleveland.
I wish he was still in New England.
Yeah.
Anywho. But yes, so Jacoby Brissett, I think, is an interesting one. And Taylor Heineke, too, because we don't know really what we have with Desmond Ridder. But I can see Heineke lobbing up balls to Drake London and Kyle Pitts, though. So we'll see what the Falcons do.
I did not enjoy their offseason.
Yeah.
So far,
You guys got rid of a lot of people on defense, too, didn't you?
Yeah, and not watch them trade up to get a quarterback so they can sit behind an overpaid backup and Desmond Ridder, and then they can kind of juggle their way to figure out, oh, do we like this guy? Oh my God, I don't.
Would they change your mind if they took JSN really, really early?
No, I think that's a bad choice.
Okay,
They need more than that. Yeah.
Their offensive line is great. Like
and they locked up a couple of their linemen long term.
They locked some people up.
The other guy.
Yeah, McGarry and Lindstrom. One of the highest paid guards. Who
I always think Detroit Red Wing Nicholas Lindstrom.
Yeah, didn't he get like $25 million a year or something like that?
Well deserved. Guy was one of the best guards in the league last year. Which, I mean, when you're drafted 14th overall in your draft class, you should become one of the better guards of the NFL. But for me, it's the keys are in Ritter's hands. They're giving it to Ridder. They're going to see what they got, and they are also a team that I think with Washington that are like, hey, we've got 2 studs next season.
We lose.
We can get Caleb Williams or
Drake May.
Yeah, Drake May. And
Derek May, former baseball player. Shout out to you Cubs fans that could get that poll.
I remember. But yeah, like Atlanta's going to be an interesting case this year because they got Algier. I don't know what they're going to do in the draft. Talks about them trading up. Ooh, it's going to be interesting.
We also have Marcus Mariota signing with the Philadelphia Eagles. This is going to be Jalen Hurts' backup.
There's a reason why I left that off the.
No. But I'm just saying, like.
Actually, news just came out. He quit because he found out he's not going to be the starter.
Did you remember that Marcus Mariota actually had some fantasy relevant weeks as an Atlanta Falcon last year?
Could you trust him to actually put him in though, unless it was like?
I do remember that, but the thing is I'm bitter towards him because he just quit because it was obvious. Everybody knew Ridder was going to play once, like this season. It was obvious. Except apparently not to Mariota. It was not obvious.
They forgot to tell Mariota that he wasn't the starter.
It was a pride thing. You know how you go.
He's been a backup for years, and then all of a sudden, I don't.
Maybe he thought he was playing better than he was.
He thought he was going to get his chance. That's all.
All right, short arm, some more throws.
Before we move into what I like to call the musical chairs of running backs, seems like there's 100 running backs and only 60 chairs this year. Let's get into
60's a generous number.
Well, 32 teams, RB2, there's 64, right? Like, that's what I'm saying. All right, let's get into our next sponsor. It is Trophy Smack, our longest standing sponsor. And you know what? They're going to be hosting Scott Fishbowl Live again this year out in LA. Tyler, can we work with the team there? And, can they fly us out there? And, for our loyalty and how long we've been pumping up Trophy Smack, I'm just saying that would be Matt and team. Like, get us out there. Get us out there. I'll tweet at Mark Cuban and see what I can do.
I mean, you're buddies with him, so
it's true. Use code DHHRing if you haven't gotten your trophy already for your leagues. Stop being lazy. Go on TrophySmack.com. Pick out a trophy, a belt. You need a grill. They've got all sorts of fun accessories. The loser in your league, there's also options for them. When you use code DHHRing, you will get a $60 championship ring of high quality. Thing is a beast. I could throw it at Tyler and probably put a dent in his head. That's how heavy duty this is. So make sure you go on Trophy Smack, code DHHRing. Do it. All right. Let's get into running backs. This one was an interesting market because we saw some big names get moved. We saw a really big name or former really big name get cut. And that is Ezekiel Elliott. He is no longer a Dallas Cowboy, which is going to be weird.
Amazing.
He got released 3-4 days ago. Hasn't signed anywhere. There's been some rumors of some teams he might land on.
I heard there was a flood in Dallas.
Yeah. Tony Pollard is franchise, so he's there for at least 1 year. They went and made some moves on offense today. This kind of says to me that they might be getting ready to draft Bijan Robinson. James, what's your take on that?
I mean, if he makes it that far, there's a couple other teams in front of Dallas that
can trade up
that actually could do it. And yeah, I mean, we hear rumors about Austin Eckler asking for a trade. Chargers are 5 spots ahead, 21st pick overall. They would need a quarterback. Bijan fits that profile in that offense amazingly. Whether or not they would use that first round draft capital is up in the air, but I don't put anything past Dallas and Jerry Jones on drafting Bijan just for the hell of it, saying, yeah, we're keeping our boy in Texas. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that happening. It's going to be really interesting to see where Bijan falls here. Not falls, but where he gets sucked.
Either way, for the time being, Pollard to the moon. I would try to
sell.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's coming off an injury, remember?
He's a running back, and he's got top 10 value. Yeah, sell.
Yeah, sell.
He was the RB7 last year. I don't see him exceeding that, like, to be quite honest. Like,
I think the ADP on him last week or 2 weeks ago when we did the running back landscape, it was low end RB2, maybe mid tier RB2. This puts him up in close to the top 10.
It's crazy.
As right now. So yeah, I would, if I can move him right now and get a mid first, yeah, I'm on it.
Yeah, and another veteran that was moved was Leonard Fournette, was cut by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So Rachaad White to the moon, hopefully. I don't know. They could make a move at running back. The thing is, this running back class is so deep. Yeah, they did. This running back class is so deep that, it's going to be really interesting to see where those chips fall, because it is going to be, like I said, musical chairs. It's going to be a freaking mess. And there's going to be guys on the outside looking in that you're like guys like Devin Singletary. Have you heard anything about Devin Singletary signing anywhere?
Nowhere.
Nope.
Damian Harris. Have you even heard his name once this offseason?
Nope.
Oh man, I should have put those names in the.
So those are guys that haven't found
names.
homes yet. Leonard Fournette hasn't signed with anyone. Like, he's still out there. I think guys like Fournette and Harris, maybe after the draft. Like, I hope it doesn't take them that long to find teams, but man, and you're seeing what some of these running backs are getting paid. We'll talk about Rashad Penny in a minute. Like, they're not James Robinson. Like, yeah, the deal looks like it's $4 million a year. It's not. Like, there's a lot of smoke and mirrors in some of these deals. So what it tells me is that, like, NFL teams are like, you know what? This is a good running back class. We're not going to pay running backs to get you on our team, which is going to fudge up some stuff. One of my favorite landing spots here in this free agency was Miles Sanders to the Panthers. He signed a 4-year, $25 million deal. So he gets over $6 million a year. They move on from Deonta Foreman. We'll give you his new team here in a minute. But I kind of low-key dig Miles Sanders for the Panthers. They've got a younger offensive line. They're going to bring in a rookie quarterback. They've made some other moves on offense. I don't mind this at all. I actually like Miles Sanders more than most. Philadelphia didn't use him in the passing game last year. I think he's capable. I know PFF is like, oh, he's really super bad. But I've seen Miles Sanders catch the ball. I don't think he's that bad. James, what was your take on Miles Sanders landing on the Panthers?
Originally, I was off of Miles Sanders before this last season, obviously, until he started to really play football. But I think that it is a good fit. They like to run the ball there. He does have breakout potential to finish runs down the field. We saw that in Philadelphia on like 80% of his good fantasy days. He broke one at least 30 yards plus. So I like that for him there. And, you mentioned the target share. There's not much to like. There's not many targets in this offense as of right now. Terrace Marshall, shout out Terrace Marshall.
LaVisca.
Yeah, LaVisca, the resurrection. But I think it might be Miles Sanders' time to shine down in Carolina.
Tyler, any thoughts on Miles Sanders? I know you haven't been like the biggest fan of him.
I actually like him for his value. I think this will actually raise his value to a late first, but if you were able to get him for the second round pick that he was probably valued at, I mean, you are jumping for joy because he's the one or two running backs this offseason that have ganked value. And going back to running backs in general, like, this really puts an emphasis on the 101. Like, do you take Bijan, who is like almost like a new car? Right when you pull him off that draft lot, he decreases in value almost because it's a running back, and quarterbacks only gain value. Look at Zach Wilson. He kept his value for a year.
A quarterback is like an SUV or a truck. Like, they're going to have value long term.
Yeah, and it's going to be an interesting offseason to see like where these quarterbacks go. Anthony Richardson has a major upside, but that's all I've really been thinking about this whole process, because like you guys said, there's so many running backs in the free agent market right now that can be had, but no teams want deep running back class, deep free agent class at running back, and nobody's getting signed. Like, one of the running backs up here in my neck of the woods got signed, and I thought he was not going to sign for a long time, so I was very shocked. But go back to Miles Sanders, great landing spot, love it for him. I think he's going to be the workhorse for them.
Yeah, this next player I didn't think would sign not only in division but with this team. I thought that for sure that the Detroit Lions were going to bring back Jamal Williams. And they didn't. They brought in David Montgomery for 3 years and $18 million on the deal. What do we think about Montgomery and Swift? Like, interesting pairing, and I just want Swift to be a thing, and I just don't think it's going to happen in Detroit. I think it's going to be on the next team. Tyler, you've always been a Swift guy. What was your first thought when you saw Montgomery sign here with the Lions?
I'm going to go out and try to buy Swift. His value will never be lower than this, I don't think. Yeah. And for one reason. Where did Dan Campbell coach? Like, Detroit, where was he an assistant coach?
Miami?
And New Orleans.
He was the head coach.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
And what did they have? Mark Ingram, Alvin Kamara. Mm-hmm. Now, Swift, very comparable to Alvin Kamara. Montgomery, to me, kind of comparable to Ingram, the way he runs. A little more angry, but
a little taller.
I really like this signing. Like, Williams, yeah, I think he took most of goal line. For me, Montgomery isn't as good as a goal line player as Jamal Williams. So this could give opportunity to, like, hey, maybe Montgomery kind of slips a little bit in the goal line. Swift gets a little more touchdowns. Or maybe they give
Goff more opportunities to throw it down there.
I would love that. So for me, I actually really like this signing. And for me, it's actually positive for Swift than if they were to sign Jamal Williams, because Jamal Williams already cemented history in Detroit. So this, for me, is a great buying opportunity for Swift. And if you can, I was listening to Dynasty HQ, our friend Shane and all of them over there. Mm-hmm. They were talking about Swift getting for like a 112, maybe even an early second. There's been some trades that have been ridiculous for Swift. And if I have that opportunity, I am doing it all day in this running back class too, because it's 2 running backs that I want. Then that's it.
I mean, worst case scenario, and I'll just piggyback where you left off, Tyler. You made really good points. Like, Swift's job's not going to change. We know he's going to be that pass catching back. Yes, David Montgomery caught some balls in Chicago, but his main thing was first and second down. All right. I think that transitions again here. Yeah, he's a bit of a bigger back. Maybe they start throwing, like you said, inside the 5 zone a little bit more. They led the league for goal line goes, inside the 5. So like that really boosted Jamal Williams' stock. I don't know if it happens to Montgomery. He wasn't one to be always pushing it in at the end zone, mainly because the Bears never really were on the goal line. But
yeah, true.
Yeah, I don't think it's as bad for Swift as people are making it out. I think the media and the news has really juiced the like Tyler said, the value is hit rock bottom in my eyes, and I am buying.
Yeah, and talking about the Mark Ingram role, Jamal Williams signs with the New Orleans Saints to pretty much play that role. We don't know what's going on with Alvin Kamara, if he will be suspended, but here's the thing. Jamal Williams, if need be, can carry the rock 20 times and be successful. So if Kamara is suspended for 4 games, 6 games, Jamal Williams is more than capable. They don't really have much else in that running back room. They had David Johnson on their roster last year, guys.
Whoa.
The washed up corpse of David Johnson. Super nice guy. I met him once. But yeah, they don't have a lot. And they had, I can't remember the other kid's name, but they don't have a lot there. So
Tyrion Davis.
That's in San Francisco.
That's San Francisco. My bad.
No, Dwayne Washington.
Tony Jr.
Yep,
Tony Jones.
Tony Jones in Seattle.
Tony Jones was last season, like 2 seasons ago, James.
Yeah.
Man.
So, but Jamal Williams, if you have him on your roster, he's not going to have a 17 touchdown season again, but he still could be startable in the event that Kamara does get suspended. And even if Kamara is healthy, I don't think Kamara is like super duper happy there either right now with what's going on. So Jamal Williams could be another sneaky guy this year that you can start and get you some touchdowns. So I like that move by New Orleans. Any thoughts there?
I have a couple. Kamara, also another buy low. Like you said, I think he's going to have a second life on
any
a different
of those
team.
2017 running backs, with the exception of McCaffrey, are buy lows to me.
I think Kamara's a perfect player that's going to get a second life on a different team next season. He's going to be
second life. Isn't that computer game where you like have an avatar?
Yes.
And okay,
yes, it's an avatar of an avatar of yourself, so it's double avatar.
It's so meta.
And I think Kamara is going to have a strict pass catching role in his next second life. So for me, I think he's a perfect buying opportunity because nobody wants him. The suspension, I think, is coming. I think an early second, late first also for him you could do. And I like that price, especially for a competing team. He'll be back in 4 weeks, and then like I said, Doug, we talked about this in Trade Addict 7. We think he's a player that lasts 2, 3, 4 more years because of his pass catching ability. He's never been fast, but he's always been.
He never takes big hits.
Yes, he's always been smart and elusive, like smart elusive, where he kind of goes the way of where the hit's going. Smalusive, yeah,
Smartusive.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But I like him for buy, and Jamal Williams is perfect for a team that is in competing mode, but you don't want to pay for running back, which is almost all dynasty teams. So he's a perfect buy for a mid-second, late second, and you can ride him for a couple years and kind of just throw him off the side.
And he's very entertaining. So I like that about Jamal Williams. Kashkashke. Yeah, he's big into anime. All right, next one. I don't want to spend too much time on this one. It's James Robinson to the Patriots. It's a 2-year, $8 million deal. It's really not set up that way. It's pretty much guarantees are very minimum. This could be is a Patriots signing that he doesn't even make the final roster. I don't know why they wouldn't just sign Damian Harris, because I like Harris. He's way more talented, I think. But you know what? Bill's like he's a UDFA. He's a scrappy kid. The only thing that concerns me is James Robinson was inactive towards the end of the season after the Jets traded for him. So to me, super interesting to what happens there. The Patriots depth chart is pretty much Ramondre. You've got Pierre Strong. You've got Kevin Harris. They still have J.J. Taylor on the roster. So for me, it's a depth thing. Maybe they bring him in to compete with Strong and Harris, and if he doesn't win out, he's easy to cut, and he's not going to cost you a lot of money. So that's kind of what I got on James Robinson. This one is a little puzzling to me, especially with Damian Harris seemingly not having a market. So yeah, let's move on.
Yes. Pass.
I like this one, however. My boy, Samaje Perine to the Denver Broncos. There's conflicting reports about Javonte Williams' knee. He's going to miss a lot of time. He's going to be ready. I think he's going to miss time, personally. Perine can step in. Again, they lost Mike Boone to the Houston Texans, so he's not there. Latavius is gone. They've got Samaje Perine. We know that Perine can carry the load 20 times, and I'll give Samaje Perine credit. His ability to catch passes has been much better over the last few years than it was in college.
Go watch Oklahoma tape and you'll see the improvement.
Clang! Samaje Perine, lots of credit due for his pass catching ability. I think this is a low-key, sneaky signing. And if you owned Samaje Perine in Dynasty, you're like, okay, I dig this because he can be a starter until Javonte's ready. 100%. James, what are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah. If you're a Javonte owner, you definitely need Samaje Perine on your roster right now. No doubt about it.
Javonte is another buy low kid. I mean, he was, first, second round startup pick last year. Now you can get him for a probably late first.
I saw him go in a 10-team Superflex for the 106.
That's fair. I think I'd honestly rather have 106 with the knee problem. Give me a chance at Gibbs over Javonte, just
to recycle it.
Yep. Yes, because I mean, like we said, Dobbins has the slow knee, the bad knee. Run with my good knee.
Yeah.
Hopefully
hey, we've got some breaking news. A free agent just signed. It's not an offensive one, but it's a defensive one. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson to the Detroit Lions on a 1-year deal. Lions are
stacking up. They're going for it.
I think they're going to take the North.
A lot of kneecaps going in that North.
Wow.
And Gardner-Johnson is a perfect dang. He's a hitter, smack talk. Like, I love
Aaron Glenn is going to love him.
They lost Deshaun Elliott to the Dolphins. This is a perfect upgrade to that position.
Great for IDP. If you play IDP.
Speaking of the NFC North, Alexander Madison, he stayed in Minnesota on a 2-year, $7 million deal. I think 6 of it was guaranteed.
Yeah, most of it was guaranteed.
Which was great. I mean, that's a salary cap thing. Is Dalvin Cook going to get traded, Tyler?
I actually think so, yeah. I mean, they don't want to say they're in a rebuild, but I think they kind of are in
like
the
a soft
in-between.
one?
Yeah, like honestly, if Richardson falls a little bit, I would not be shocked if they're a team that trades up to go get him because they are infatuated with him. They're a perfect team. And also, I saw somebody on Twitter, I'm not sure who it was, I think it was Paul Charchian, posted about Lamar Jackson, things you can go do. Like say Aaron Rodgers and the Packers kind of, hold still and they don't trade. Why not trade 2 firsts for Lamar, pay him, trade Kirk Cousins to the Jets, get 1 first, maybe even a second, give all the salary to the Jets, because let's be honest, Kirk Cousins may play better than Aaron Rodgers right now. And
last year he did.
And then kind of just hit the refresh a little bit.
That would be wild.
Have Lamar, keep wearing that purple. I doubt it's going to happen. I saw somebody comment, we have better luck having 70-degree weather all week than this happening because
a man can dream.
We're hitting 40s this week, everybody. 40s. It's a heat wave up here, but yeah, it's interesting up here in Minnesota, and I do think he is a draft day trait.
Yeah, and if you have Cook, you probably have Madison. And one of my favorite dynasty occurrences that happen is when you have the starter and you have the handcuff, and then they both become starters, and it's a win-win. I love it.
A split share. There it is.
I had that with Todd Gurley and Darrell Henderson once. I had Gurley, and then I had Henderson, and Henderson had a decent year. Speaking of a guy that totally...
I had Wentz and Hurts do it, so it was really nice.
It's also called Michael Turner, is what we like to call that.
Yeah, very much, very much.
Tree trunks.
So I love the Madison deal to stay in Minnesota. I think he is a starting caliber player. In Miami, the backfield, they brought back everyone.
Gross.
Jeff Wilson,
Pass.
Raheem Mostert, Miles Gaskin.
If they don't draft someone this year,
even Savon Ahmed is back. So all 4 running backs, really weird because the draft is deep. There's a lot of free agents, and they're like, we're just going to run it back with these guys. I think Wilson and Mostert are capable guys, but go get Dalvin Cook.
Well, they did lose their first-round pick, right? That had something to do with it.
Yeah, the Tom Brady tampering.
Which the Steelers get a first-round pick, technically, for Chase Claypool, which is ridiculous. Miami, everybody's like, well, they're still in line to draft somebody. How long have we said this? They're going to draft a
2 years now.
They should have drafted Javonte.
They wanted to, but
Swift was another one, I think.
The Broncos traded up with Atlanta, which I still, why Atlanta, and they moved up in front of Miami. But yeah, for me personally, unless they actually make a move, I'm okay with holding off.
Yeah,
I don't want any of them. But Jeff Wilson's a good cheap option.
If you have Mostert as a leftover from last season, I don't mind rolling him out until the wheels fall off. He did pretty well in that offense.
Wilson's been a successful runner. He's not sexy, but he's productive.
I think you could get a little bit of value for Wilson, especially if they don't make any more moves.
The wheels are falling off Mostert anyways, so they just keep trying to put it back on and keeps falling off.
All right, let's do a quick lightning round here of all the other running back movements that we've had. We've got Travis Homer and Deonta Foreman both going to the Chicago Bears. 2 years, $4 million for Homer. 1 year, $3 million for Foreman. Boston Scott, the Giant killer, re-signed on a 1-year deal in Philly. Matt Breida, the Giant player, also re-signed with his team. He is now a Giant again. 1 year, $4 million. Rashad Penny to the Eagles. 1 year, $1.35 million. I know we'll circle back on that one. Chase Edmonds, who is a Denver Bronco, who we all forget that he was on that team. He got cut and then was picked up pretty quickly by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then Corey Clement, shout out to Tyler, signs a 1-year deal with Arizona. So that leaves our big name running backs left: Ezekiel Elliott, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt, Damian Harris, Devin Singletary, just to name a few. Out of those guys, I know we'll talk Rashad Penny because everyone's got sweatpant boners because Penny's an Eagle and they're like, oh, he'll be good for 5 or 6 games until he destroys himself. And they got to do something through the draft. Or with a free agent. It could be
Bijan. I agree. I agree.
It's obvious. It's almost right there. Because I forget who I was listening to, but Daniel Jeremiah, maybe he was talking. He's like, it's a team that has all the positions filled. They have 2 first-round picks. What better? He's like, usually I'm against it, but what better to add one of the best players in the draft than the Eagles, who are already contenders?
They're going to have to score points with some of the losses they've taken on defense, even though they have guys that can backfill them. Doesn't mean that Jordan Davis is going to be as good as Hargrave was, or that Nakobe Dean is going to be as good as the linebacker that they lost,
TJ Edwards.
Edwards, yeah. So those are no guarantees. So I think if anything, what I've learned with free agency is that Philly's offense, if they draft offense, they're just going to try to outscore everyone and try to plug a hole on defense. They just lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. They did re-sign Slay and Bradbury, so that's good. But
not to mention, the Cowboys a couple of years ago took a certain receiver right from under them with CeeDee Lamb. All right. Mm-hmm. Eagles were right behind, and they've been doing this back and forth since Dalton Schultz.
Yeah, and the Eagles cock-blocked him for Goddard.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think this is the Eagles turning around to Dallas and saying, F you, we're taking your running back, even though you just let go Zeke. guarantee it's going to happen.
And then Dallas will take Gibbs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yo, you want to do that? We'll do this.
Oh,
Yeah.
we'll do Gibbs.
So catty.
Just like they took like Galvin Escobar, I think it wasn't, instead
Oh
of
God.
over Goddard.
Rico Gathers sighting. No, just kidding.
Oh God.
Throwing it way back. What do we think about Rashad Penny with the Eagles?
No, thank you.
I think he's a leftover that I don't want anything to do with.
He's good when he's sell him though.
I'm not
Oh,
reaching that
I don't
pocket for
have
that
any.
penny.
I don't have any shares. If I do,
Same.
I'm getting rid of them.
I cut him off dynasty rosters like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm not worried about it.
For people who are excited about it, it's like digging in your uncle's pocket for a penny.
Or a used
Your Uncle
Werther's
Rashad's pocket?
caramel.
Uncle Rashad for his penny.
I'm
And then
Uncle
all you
Ahmad
do-
Rashad.
All you realize is there's a hole in his pocket.
You're
Yeah.
just touching his leg. Oh, sorry.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, and I do want to circle back on Kareem Hunt. That's a shocking one to me. I think he deserves to be on the team. And hey,
Another
Atlanta,
guy you've heard
He's
zero
definitely gonna find a spot.
Atlanta, sign him instead of Patterson. He'd be perfect to pair with Algier. I
thought the Pats would even go after Kareem Hunt. He's got the kind of like game and profile. You
they
can
got
catch
James
passes.
Robinson. Come on.
I mean, you
Can we
can use Kareem Hunt. And
Hunt
a lot of
destroyed the
different
Patriots.
teams.
That's a Bill thing. He goes after the players that destroy him.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit.
Yeah. So that's going to wrap it up for the running backs. Let's move it on to wide receivers. We've got a lot going on there too. It's not quite as exciting as running backs, but we've got some kind of big moves. I mean, this running back or wide receiver class of free agents was not great. Let's be honest. Alan Lazard, Aaron Rodgers, one of his favorite toys in Green Bay, signs with the Jets. Shocker. 4 years, $44 million. Good for him. Converted tight end, making himself out of something. A guy that was a late bloomer. He gets $22 million guaranteed. Now it's just a matter of which Jets receiver is going to get traded or cut. Is it going to be Elijah Moore? Is it going to be Corey Davis? Is it going to be Denzel Mims? Or is it going to be all of them? Who knows? Braxton Berrios is gone.
Elijah Moore.
Elijah Moore to Green Bay. He's part of the Rodgers deal, I think.
I think Davis might be too because of salary.
I think he'll be a cut more than anything.
I think they're going to say, hey, Green Bay, you're going to have to take some salary back because we can't eat this whole Rodgers thing. So, like, take Corey Davis and his $10 million. And we'll give you Elijah Moore.
Please, Elijah Moore, go in the trade because the Jets are like, hey, we have another second-round pick that we can just hold hostage until...
Watson, Dobbs, Elijah Moore. You throw Corey Davis on there. You got two running backs. They need to do something at tight end. But, yeah, I mean, that's a decent setup for Jordan Love, I think. So
Yeah. I do think it's Elijah Moore.
I hope so, because free Elijah
Makes
Moore.
sense.
That's all I'm going to say. So Alan Lazard got paid. My guy, Jacoby Myers, to the Raiders to reunite with Josh McDaniels. He got paid 3 years and $33 million. Everyone at first was like, well, Hunter Renfro's there. Jacoby can play outside, but he's mostly known for inside work.
Renfro's dead.
I don't know that he is, though.
I think he is.
Nope. Renfro
I don't think he's dead.
is the lunch pail guy that you need, the hard worker, the first one in, last one out.
Insert white slot receiver with Josh McDaniels here.
And now Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo's going to see him in the slot and be like, oh, my God.
New England West.
It's like Julian Edelman's back.
Just going to run crossing routes with Renfro and Jacoby Myers
What's wrong
all
with
day
that?
long.
It'll be a boring offense. But at least one of their target hogs is out of the picture, so that opens up some more targets for both Renfro and Jacoby Myers because they don't have a tight end on the roster really right now, and we'll talk about that here in a minute. So Jacoby, I'm glad, anytime a undrafted free agent gets paid the bag, and I love Jacoby. I was on Jacoby Myers pretty early. Shout out to my boy Robbie Jeffries, who is all about Jacoby Myers coming out of NC State and got me to watch his tape. And I was like, you know what? I like this kid. And I rostered Jacoby Myers in a bunch of spots. So thank you to that. I love to see a guy go and get paid. He may never be a target monster like he was with the Pats, but hey, you know what? That doesn't matter. He got paid. Speaking of the Pats, Juju Smith-Schuster is a Patriot. 3 years, $25.5 million. Very team-friendly deal. He's only on the books for over $1 million in the year one. To me, this was about Juju signing a multi-year deal because he was on a 1-year deal with Kansas City. I don't know that they wanted him back to bring him back multiple years. I think a lot of people here in the New England sports media are like, it's not an upgrade over Jacoby Myers. I disagree because Jacoby Myers he doesn't have any juice. He can't break tackles. He doesn't have
Schuster.
Yeah, he can't break tackles. Jacoby Myers wasn't a yak guy. Juju at least can do that for you. So I like this move for Mac Jones and the Patriots. James, what are your thoughts on Juju Smith-Schuster?
I think it's a little bit of an upgrade. Like you said, he's a bigger wide receiver. He can handle a little bit more. Not to mention that he's like 21 years old still.
Still 8 years in the league.
Yeah, 8 years in the league. Guy just turned 21.
Age 7 breakout.
But I think he has broken out a lot more than Jacoby Myers. We've seen what he did in Pittsburgh his rookie season.
So many years ago now, though.
It is so many years ago. 3, 4, something like that.
When Antonio Brown was normal-ish.
It was 2018 that he had 111 receptions.
So I think, not to say that he's going to hit that type of ceiling, but we have seen his ceiling, and his ceiling is very comfortable for fantasy purposes. I think it elevates Mac Jones a little bit more with the fact that Juju can stretch the field.
Can he, though?
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see. I mean, it worked out with Patrick Mahomes, but hey, it was Patrick Mahomes, and we know Mac Jones isn't that.
I mean, if you say Patrick
I don't
Mahomes,
hate the signing.
Mac Jones, they kind of sound alike.
I was hoping they would go for a bigger name, but there's not too many bigger names out there this year in free agency.
Mac Jones.
There really isn't. The other guy I want to talk about the Houston Texans. So they made some moves. The Tennessee Titans cut Robert Woods, and they signed him. And then they went today, and they traded Brandon Cooks, who we all know was kind of disgruntled after last year when he was hurt and then he didn't want to play. And we all knew that Brandon Cooks was most likely going to get moved. And he got moved to a pretty good spot here, I think. He got moved to the Dallas Cowboys for a couple of late-round picks because, there was some salary implications there. They moved him to Dallas for a 23 fifth and a 2024 sixth. The contract numbers, I think the Texans are eating $6 million and the Cowboys are on the hook for 12. So for me, if you've got a guy like Brandon Cooks that's going to maybe man a little bit of slot work, you've got Gallup, you've got CeeDee Lamb. We don't know what they're doing at tight end. Dalton Schultz is still available, which is weird, but they have a couple of young guys that are waiting in the wings. So for me, I think their offense just got a little bit more explosive. We saw even T.Y. Hilton get in some plays in that offense at the end of the year. And I'm going to go with a T.Y. Hilton off the street is not quite as good as Brandon Cooks between the sheets, right?
100% between the sheets. Oh, sheets.
You're welcome.
I like this move a lot. The issue is, it's funny. You get rid of Kellen Moore in Dallas, and they're all like, oh, here comes the run game. They're going to run the ball down people's throats. They cut Zeke. They don't sign him. They say you're a free agent. They have Tony Pollard, who obviously can't carry that much of a workload. I think they get Brandon Cooks. It's looking like they want to throw the ball more, which leads us to, are they going to go for Bijan? It's kind of weird direction they're going in after getting rid of Kellen Moore. And, everybody's conclusion was McCarthy wants to run the ball. They want to play defense, run the ball, and give the ball to CeeDee Lamb a ton. And now it's kind of looking like the opposite.
Any thoughts on Robert Woods to the Texans?
Good coach. He'll be a great coach.
Hopefully he can coach up John Mechie, get him healthy. Nico's out there still. I don't know.
Yeah, if anything, I think he helps Nico Collins a little bit.
I think the Texans
in the route running kind of department. He could train him up a little bit.
I think the Texans do a double tap. They take a quarterback, and then they turn around and take a receiver possibly.
Oh, yeah. If they double tap, especially with the same team,
it'll be interesting what quarterback, though. I do think it is one of a small stature, but I'm okay with that because if they do get a Jackson Smith-Njigba or somebody at receiver there, that is a win.
Yep, I like that one. Other free agency news for the wide receiver position, the New York Giants, they added a big pass catcher via trade, and we'll talk about that momentarily. But they added Paris Campbell, who was actually healthy last year, 1 year, $4.7 million. And then Darius Slayton re-signed for a 2-year, $12 million deal. James, you're a resident Giants fan. What did you think about these two deals to throw them in the mix with $1?
$1.
And Isaiah Hodgins, of course.
I mean, if you want to win at the receiver position, you get speed. Paris Campbell for sub 4.40.
4.31, I think.
Yes, Darius Slayton, he ran, I believe, a 4.49. So I'm okay with adding both of these receivers. The happiest news out of Giants free agency, I think, so far was the fact that we let go Kenny Golladay. Praise the Lord, he is out of there.
He's still a free agent. Weird.
Yeah. Oh gosh, really?
Still getting paid by the Giants.
But no, I think Paris Campbell, I mean, he'll be useful on special teams. I think we will see him trying to stretch the field a little bit to help out Wandale get open. And obviously the big addition in the middle. Looks like the Giants are really have worked on their receiving core this offseason.
I don't think they have. Personally, it's the same thing.
What?
They pretty much brought back everybody, and then
they are
going to
roll out so many 2 tight end sets.
Good for them.
It's going to make
good for you.
I
hate
if they
it,
don't
man.
if they don't draft somebody in the first round, they're not doing good by Daniel Jones because he needs help. He is not a person that can be a truck of an offense.
Quentin
he can't
Johnson,
pull.
here we come.
He can't pull the trailer. He's the trailer. He needs a truck to help pull him.
And and if they go out and get Jordan Addison in the draft, then Tyler shuts up for the rest of the season.
I like that. I like that.
More slot guys, yay. Let's move on to a signing that just happened this evening from Manitoba, Minnesota. Adam Thielen, no longer in Minnesota. He's not feeling Minnesota anymore.
It's so weird.
Yeah, I can't wait for the warm
You know
water.
who else isn't?
He is
Me. I'm
Right.
done with winter. Winter sucks.
Are you moving to Carolina too?
He is feeling
wish.
Carolina. They signed a 3-year deal. There's no financials out on this one yet, so I'd be interested to see how it's structured. But Adam Thielen signs a 3-year deal with the Carolina Panthers. I think this is a good spot for him. They're going to have a rookie quarterback. They have targets available. I mean, like we said, they've got Shi Smith, Terrace Marshall, Laviska Shenault, DJ Moore obviously got traded. So Thielen drops in a spot where he could still be fantasy relevant, a good bye week plug-in kind of guy. Maybe he has some good weeks here and there. I think he had 70 for 706 touchdowns last year, which isn't great. As we know, he's towards the back end. He's 33 years old now. But out of all the landing spots, this isn't a bad one, Tyler. What do you think?
Yeah, I actually like it. It's personally better than Minnesota because Justin Jefferson was up here and KJ Osborne is rising.
Emerging.
Yeah. So Thielen,
Jalen Reagor, guys, right? Am I right?
as Doug looks around for hand applauses. No, I like it for him. The rookie quarterback's going to love him, and I think it's personally Stroud. So I think, accurate quarterback, a guy that can get a receiver the ball quickly. So Thielen will definitely be a cheap option. I don't think he's going to play out the whole contract because me personally, I do think he has plans outside of football from what I'm hearing. But Thielen, great player. I do think they draft somebody as well, Carolina, because they don't have anybody, they don't have a draft pick, it seems, anymore, but they will try to get a late round guy. But Carolina is interesting. I will say that. I'm not a big Terrace Marshall believer.
I have been and still am.
Shi Smith.
Maybe foolishly.
Shi Smith is just a fourth receiver on
They have
the team.
Preston Williams. Remember him?
That's true.
I used to love Preston Williams.
mean,
Then he got hurt. Then he got released.
That as much as I want a quarterback to succeed in Carolina, we'll talk about this more in the offseason, I am scared to death about the weapons they have.
Yeah. All right, let's wrap up wide receivers. Some big names that are still available. Odell Beckham Jr., Kenny Golladay. Chosen Anderson, the artist formerly known as Robbie, who got traded to the Cardinals and did absolutely nothing. No thank you.
You forgot Robbie with an I, then
I.e.
formerly known as Robbie with a Y.
Yeah, what a hot mess. He looks like what is that Simpsons character with the wild hair? Sideshow Bob.
Sideshow Bob.
Nelson Aguilar, puke, and DJ Chark, which it's interesting that Chark hasn't
He's
going to
get picked up
yet.
by the Panthers if they don't get one.
Rumors.
Yeah, I think I could see him there. He did a really good job in Detroit stretching the field.
Yeah. Before we wrap up with tight ends, I'm going to tell you how you can have a shaved rear end. If you want to use it for that, that's up to you. Manscaped is where it's at. If you need something to cut your areas that are a little sensitive and you don't want to nick up your parts, Manscaped is where it's at. The Lawnmower 4.0, it's wireless charging. You can use it in the water. It's got a light on it if you want to shave in the dark. Hey, I'm not going to kink shame you. You do you. But not only that, it's going to come with a nose and ear trimmer. You can get all your hairs all taken care of. And not only that, are you going to look good, you're going to feel good, but you're going to smell good because you've got all the cleansers of the crop. You've got the revivers. It's just a total package Lex Luger here, guys. So Manscaped, use code DHH and save 20% off on Manscaped. Today, your balls, they're going to look up at you and go, thanks, pal, with a thumbs up if they had a thumb. All right, let's move into
breaking news.
Or a hand.
Breaking news? What do we got?
Breaking news. Mac Hollins is signed with the Atlanta Falcons.
Woo! Mac Hollins. We forgot about him. Raiders legend.
He just signed with Atlanta. I just got the notification about a minute ago.
I
like
didn't even get a notification yet.
I like that.
Solid, smart player. They say he'll be a coach when he's all done, Matt Collins.
I heard he's a little weird too. Doesn't wear shoes.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I wear sandals at least, but he just doesn't like to wear anything, like shoes-wise.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, we're going to move on to my favorite position, as everyone knows. It's the tight end. We've got some notable signings here. Nothing crazy, so I don't want to spend too much time on it. But we got Hayden Hurst at the Panthers joining Tommy Tremble and a newly restructured Ian Thomas. 3 years, $21.75 million with 13 guaranteed. Kind of a big financial deal here for Hayden Hurst. What do you guys think of this? Do you think Hayden Hurst becomes fantasy relevant? He was okay in Cincinnati last year, but didn't do anything crazy. 2 years ago in Atlanta, he was all right. I don't know. He's 29 years old. He was a 26-year-old rookie or whatever. But Hayden Hurst to the Panthers, does this move the needle for you at all, Tyler? Or you're just kind of like, nah.
Nope. Pass. I'm good. I don't
Use
need
Tommy
Jeff
Tremble is what it comes down to, you idiots.
I mean, Ian Thomas, Tommy Tremble, and now Hayden Hurst. Nope.
In a deep
They
tight
have
end
failed
class,
to
I'm
use
not
the
spending money on Hayden
Panthers
Hurst.
tight end since Greg Olson retired.
But Mike Reich, he might get the tight end involved. And Indy had like 5 or 6'9" tight ends, so
They always
let's
do.
have faith in them.
I have a little bit of faith in Hayden Hurst. I do in this
That
new
is
offense,
blind faith.
new quarterback,
He got the bag a little bit.
and he got a little bit paid money. He's
I
got a little
can't-
moolah in his pocket.
I can't talk smack to James about tight end calls because he got one right last year, so I gotta
Got
keep my
that
mouth
right.
shut.
And he added that Evan Engram was franchise tag, even though we already talked about it. So he is tripling and quadrupling down on
So
Evan Engram. I love
is
it.
he saying Hayden Hurst is his Evan Ingram this year? I think that's
What
what he
tight
just said,
end
right?
35, yeah.
Right?
Tight
Doug?
end
That's what
35.
he just said. Top
No,
5 tight end.
Don't put words in
Hayden
my mouth.
Hurst.
So,
Don't do
so
that.
this next signing, I like this one a lot because I think he is an
This
ascending
guy
player.
could make top 5 sneakily.
Juwan Johnson stays in New Orleans, 2-year deal, $12 million with $11.5 million guaranteed, because we all know that New Orleans cap is a mess, so they need to give out guaranteed money to avoid some of the cap catastrophes. He's only going to be 27 in 2023. I think he's on his 3rd or 4th year, converted wide receiver, so we like that. And he really showed out in the end zone last year. And I think they're going to be committed to him because Adam Troutman is garbage, and Taysom Hill is just a gadget player. Derek Carr, he's got a history with some decent tight ends here. I love this for Juwan Johnson. I think he is going to be a sneaky back-end tight end 1 because, again, it doesn't take much. But I think he is a sneaky back-end tight end 1 or a high-end tight end 2. James, what do you think about that?
I don't hate it at all, and I 100% agree with you. He finished tight end 5 this year for PPR formats. 65 targets, 42 receptions, just over 500 yards receiving, but 7 touchdowns. And they used him like they should use a man of his stature at 6'4", 231. We talked about him years ago. I believe when I first came on the pod, he had just started to peak a little bit in his production, and it is carried over, and he gets rewarded here with a 2-year deal. So I'm happy for Juwan Johnson. I think since it's guaranteed money, we'll definitely see him active, and it helps out if Michael Thomas is a bust.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's speed up here. Josh Oliver to Minnesota. Now on paper, 3 years, $20 million. We're like, what?
I put this in for you, Doug, because I know your love for Josh Oliver.
I love Josh Oliver coming out of San Diego State, I think.
Saubert didn't make the cut, but Josh Oliver.
I love Josh Oliver because of the athleticism. He never panned out with Jacksonville. He was hurt a lot. Goes to Baltimore to revive his career. This to me isn't about pass catching capability. No. Josh Oliver was the number 2, I believe, ranked PFF grade for run blocking. And you're going to pair him with Hawkinson. Now, we know what kind of scheme Minnesota likes to run on the ground. To me, it's like you add a 6th offensive lineman, Tyler, right? Like this is where this move is. And when you look at the deal, it looks like $7 million a year. It's not the way that it's structured. It's kind of like the James Robinson deal. It looks like more than it actually is. So I like this move from Minnesota. I don't think that Oliver is going to be fantasy relevant. So don't go chasing waterfalls, kids. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Find your Evan Ingram.
I do like this next one. The Patriots traded Jonnu Smith to the Falcons for a late round pick, and they got out of some of that salary. Cool.
6
Arthur
linemen.
Smith gets his guy back to cockblock Kyle Pitts until next year. Mike Gesicki goes to the New England Patriots, which is interesting because Bill O'Brien recruited Gesicki to come to Penn State. So there's a connection there. They have Hunter Henry. It's a 1 year, $4.5 million prove it deal, more or less. It looks like a 1 year, $9 million deal. Again, when you look at it, that's not what it is.
Evan Ingram money from last year, kind of.
Yeah, so I think Gesicki gets a chance to revive his career. He was just kind of
Didn't Evan Ingram get $9 million though?
It was 10.
Yeah, but it was kind of, a lot of it was funny money. So with Gesicki, this gives an opportunity for him to revive his career, hit the market again next year. And we all know that Bill O'Brien has a history with 2 tight end sets. Now he's got Henry, he's got Gesicki. I think they're probably going to draft a tight end. Rumor out here is it's going to be Michigan man Luke Schoonemaker is a hot name in the New England streets, and he tested
Schoonemaker?
unbelievably well
Yeah.
in the combine. So I wouldn't be surprised if they bring him in with a draft pick.
And they love drafting tight ends. Remember Devin Asiasi?
They love tight ends.
I also remember Dalton Keene, James.
Keene.
Garbage. So yeah, that was a miss. Oy vey.
Do
For
you wanna
every
talk about
Gronk,
other
there's
draft picks?
7 Dalton Keens.
Other Pats draft picks you want to talk about? That N'Keal Harry.
Oh, he's a free agent. I forgot
Sony
to mention
Michel.
the wide receiver.
Hey, he scored the only touchdown in that Super Bowl. You shut your mouth.
Gross.
So I like the signing of Gesicki with New England. It gives them another weapon, especially in the red zone where they struggled last year. Couple other notables before we wrap up. Donald Parham re-signed for 2 years and $2.6 million with the Chargers. I like to see that. I've always thought Parham had potential. I don't know that he's ever going to hit it. He's 6'8", former basketball player. He's not Antonio Gates, people. It's okay. And then Robert Bagatunians signs with the Chicago Bears. 1 year, $2.65 million. Gives Fields another target along with Cole Kmet. I'm not really worried about Cole Kmet. I think he's the guy there. But Tunyon, he's flashed with Green Bay. He's athletic. He reminded me of like a really super poor man's George Kittle. He just never really hit. And I don't think he's going to hit with Chicago. Yeah. Any thoughts on those guys before we wrap up?
No, I believe Gerald Everett's still on a contract. So
yeah.
Parham still on the back burner. Yeah. And then Tunyon doesn't affect Cole Kmet's pass catching. Like, I think Cole Kmet led that team in receiving last year. Obviously, it's not going to happen this year with DJ Moore, a healthy Darnell Mooney, and Equinemius St. Brown saying that he's just going to come out and crush it
Chase
this
Claypool.
year.
Don't forget about him.
Oh yeah, and Chase Claypool. But
and Khalil,
yeah, I think it's a good move for the Bears, not necessarily for fantasy. If for whatever reason Cole Kmet can't go, Robert Tunyon's a good backup in that sense as a pass catching tight end.
And then some of the big names that are still available. The biggest name is Dalton Schultz. We've got Cameron Brate, Austin Hooper, washed. Foster Moreau, curious that he hasn't re-signed with the Raiders. But I will give you this. I love Foster Moreau's athletic profile. Watching Foster Moreau last year, lots of dumb penalties with Moreau. And I think that's something that may be affecting his market right now, is that when he was on the field, there was some false starts. There was some stuff with Moreau. But we didn't even have Darren Waller on the sheet, James.
Yeah, I know. We already talked about him
but
weeks
still.
ago.
But weeks ago.
Oh, and Darren Waller got traded to the Giants.
Everybody. I feel like we didn't talk about him.
No, maybe we didn't talk about
I don't know.
We didn't talk about him. Hey, everybody.
Blur. Sorry.
Darren Waller was
saved the best for last.
Oh yeah. By the way, my team got Darren Waller. Oops.
Yeah, the guy who makes a show sheet from New York. His team got Darren Waller. The player he's really excited about apparently.
I was excited about Foster Moreau because I hear he's talking to the Bengals. So
I would like that fit. I mean, they don't really target the.
Why are we still talking about that when we haven't even talked Waller?
It's a thing of the past. He's over 30. He's washed.
James.
He's washed.
Target hog is what that means.
No, I love Waller to the Giants. They couldn't find anybody in the receiving free agency, but they definitely filled a pass catching role with getting Waller on the field. Hopefully he's fully healthy. He did not show up at the end of the last season. And he was injured almost all of last year. So I'm hoping he's rehabbed, ready to go. It looks like he's going to be locked and loaded as a prime target.
Can I put money down on how many times Derek Carr says Juwan Johnson reminds him of Darren Waller?
You've already made $5.
Yeah. I mean, I'll
and as long as Darren Waller stays out of Daniel Bellinger's dad's DMs, we're all set. So
See, can you believe that? See, that's the whole thing in New York, man.
That.
I'm missing
Bellinger's dad. Bellinger's dad comes out on social media trashing Darren Waller and the New York Giants.
He's defending his son, like he missed games, like he was this. And I'm like, dude, just chill.
Dude, he's a rookie.
Like your son had a good year
injured.
for a rookie tight end.
Yeah,
tight ends don't hit till year 3 or 4. Like,
and he
chill out.
Balled
Play
out
some
his
Dynasty.
rookie year. Like, just chill, man.
Right.
Your son's not Travis Kelce yet, and I do say
Yeah.
that.
I mean,
So I like
he's
that
got an eye on the future. At least one good eye on the future.
Oh, yeah, he did get one. He poked in the eye.
A Darren Waller eye. Isn't that a fish? A walleye?
A waller eye, yeah, great
walleye,
fish.
yeah, walleye
you
pike.
could wallerize.
Wallerize.
Is that his new name? I think we just
We have
Behind these Waller eyes,
he fried the competition.
catch a pass, score a touchdown. Sorry, I'm not going to sing anymore.
Thank God.
I think that's going to be just about wrap it up for us.
It's been a long pod, as you can tell.
Yeah, long pod. We're getting a little squirrely. I did want to give a shout out to our friends over at dynastynerds.com. Make sure you check out their awesome Nerd Herd. When you sign up and use code DHH, you'll save 15% off any subscription. They've got trade tools, your extra Nerd Herd episode, prospect film room, which is vital this time of season, prospect scores, and the Dynasty GM. And if you're looking for some new gear, warmer weather is around the corner. If you're looking for a t-shirt, check out Viridian Global, and you can get a Dynasty Happy Hour t-shirt or a hat or a sweatshirt. Support the crew. That's all I'm saying. ViridianGlobal.com. Make sure you check it out. That's going to do it this week. We're going to be back next week. That's James. That's Tyler. I'm Doug. We'll see you next week on the Dynasty Happy Hour.